Guys, great video today. Thanks for tuning in. We got an amazing chat with Taylah Robertson. Gee, she's a good, very well-rounded young girl, great athlete, wants to be champion of the world. Stay tuned.
How we going?
Oh, there you go. Now I got you.
Oh, now you can hear me.
Yeah.
All right, cool. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
Good. Crazy time.
Very crazy times.
How you? Oh, you're in the car.
Yeah, I just had to drop my car in for service, so I've got a new whip.
That's about as exciting as it gets at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mate, what I want to do, I'm just going to take these off, actually. The sound won't be as clear, but I should have done my preparation a bit better before. Mate, what I wanted to do is get everybody to get to know a bit about you. Look, we know you won a Commonwealth Games bronze medal. We know you've won many Australian championships. How many fights have you had overall?
I'd say
Roughly.
close to 70.
Close to 70?
60,
Nice.
70.
Yeah. Nice. Mate, tell us about Taylah Robertson growing up as a kid, where you were brought up, and your life. We'll come into the boxing a bit later, but let's tell us a bit more about you first.
I've actually been a big gypsy. So I was born in Townsville, and then I was only there for a couple months, and then moved to Brisbane. And then from Brisbane, I moved to Bribie Island. Did most of my schooling in Bribie Island, and then moved to the Sunshine Coast. And then from the Sunshine Coast, I did a bit in Canberra for the Commonwealth Games, and then moved to Sydney. Moved from Sydney back to Brisbane, where I am now. So I've been all over the place.
You are a gypsy. The gypsy queen, maybe.
Yeah.
There's already a gypsy king. You can't take that.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, wow.
I've been all over.
So what was growing up like? What was your life growing up? Did you have boxing in your family, or did that come a bit later? What did you do up to sort of age 10?
No, I did not box at all until age 10, and there was no boxing in my family. I'm the first boxer in the family. So I was actually a bit of a tomboy, so I do a lot of surfing and skating, and probably just going on surf trips on the weekends or camping trips with my family. Very coastal, like always be on the beach, pretty much.
Yeah, nice.
But mostly surfing and skating took up most of my time.
When you were little, and then you just, I know you still do it now. So do you still surf now, or just skate mainly?
Not as much. I skate still, but not surfing as much as I'd like to. I should be now that it's COVID, but but when I'm in camp, it's too hard when I'm training.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's it. You just got to, when you're at home, you just pretty much rest, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Training
All right.
rest.
So how did this crazy world of boxing that you managed to get into, how did that all happen?
Well, I was actually saw signs for it on the bus on the way home from school one day, and
Where were you living at this time?
What's that? Sorry.
Where were you living at this time?
Bribie Island.
Oh, Bribie. Yep.
Yep. So I actually saw Bribie Island Boxing Club, and they had kids classes advertised. I think I was like 12. I'm pretty sure.
Was that Ty? Was that Ty Gilchrist?
Yeah, Ty Gilchrist.
Oh, right. Yeah, cool.
So, with Ty, he really started my love and passion for boxing. He incorporated a lot of the things I loved to do with boxing. He made it fun. So when we'd have a boxing tournament on the weekends, he would put all the surfboards and skateboards in. We'd all get in the car, have the whole club in the car. We'd drive up. We didn't take it too seriously back then. We'd fight for fun. So it was more like we'd go surfing through the days. We'd get a pie from the shop, and then we'd go rock up to the fights and fight. It was less of it was more of a hobby and a fun thing than
my
love for the sport.
Mate, that's excellent.
Yeah.
Clubs should be like that. At the junior age, 10, 11, 12, 13.
Yeah.
Who cares? Honestly,
Yeah.
too many people put that massive emphasis on being the junior world champion. When you know what? No one really cares what happens as a junior.
Yeah.
It should be about fun because that's your childhood, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, I'd probably wouldn't be boxing still now if I didn't enjoy it for so like
Yeah.
if it was so fun for so long for me. I just got excited every weekend that we got to pack up the bags and go on a trip up to the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast, to Gladstone, like go all around Australia.
And it might get a fight as well. Yeah. Rather
Yeah,
than
and
it
then the
all
fight
being
was a
about
bonus.
that fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. No, that's good. Mate, you know what? I take my hat off to Ty for doing that with all the kids there. That's too many boxing coaches take it way too seriously at that young age. You know,
Yeah.
smash them, smash. No, it's not about that. No one
Yeah.
cares what the kids are doing when they're 11, 12, 13, 14 years old even.
Yeah.
It's you know, the serious time is going to come if they enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm so grateful for that because it's obviously not like that anymore. I wouldn't eat a pie before a fight or go surfing all day. But now I still love it. So yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good. All right. So from there, and then you so you had how old were you when you had your first fight?
I think it was 12, 11 maybe,
12.
11 or 12. Yeah.
Did you play other
Most
sports
of my
before?
first fights were actually exhibitions. I think I had 13 exhibitions before I even had my first fight, and they were in the league, and they were against boys and girls.
You had no option. It's either that or you don't get to have a go, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jump in with anyone.
Did you play other sports? Did you play footy or soccer or netball or? I know you said you're not a traditional girly girl.
Obsessed. No, I still surfed at the start, but as soon as I started boxing, I became obsessed. Like from a young age.
But there was no team sports?
No, I tried soccer once, but I wasn't much of a team sport person. I don't think.
I was just hug the ball.
No, I just wasn't a good team player. I was just lazy on the field. The only sport I'm not lazy in is boxing because I enjoy it. I think. I just didn't want to be in the field. I'd be like, oh, sub me out.
Well, the win and the loss in boxing is all about you, isn't it? You know what I mean? You can pat yourself on the back or you can comment on the chin. It's the way it is.
You can't sub out in the ring.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Oh, amazing. So from then on, you had a few fights with Ty, and then you moved up. Then you moved further up. From there, did you move further up north, or you were staying in this? You lived in the same place?
No, I wanted to take my boxing a little bit more seriously. I won a national, I think it was a 2014 national junior title in Perth. And that's when I decided, I'm like, I can actually do okay at this if I put my mind to it. And then I moved. I started in year 11 and 12, or year 12, driving up to Karoi up in the Sunshine Coast, where Mark Evans.
And where were you living then?
I was still on Bribey at the time when I first started.
Oh, so it's still a fair drive.
I was driving an hour and a half every day, sometimes twice a day, before and after school. And then eventually when school finished, I decided to make the move up to Sunshine Coast to save the drive and just dedicate my life to making the Commonwealth Games.
Mate, let me take you back to seeing that poster, right? When you were on the bus, to me, this is quite intriguing. You saw the poster on the... What was it that you liked? Was it a picture of two guys fighting each other, or did it look like fun? Like, was somebody skipping on the poster? Can you still picture that poster that made you go,
it was actually
I want to have a good way to go?
It was just white. And you know the school, like this little school billboards that will say, like, public holiday Monday, and it has, like, it literally just said boxing classes and had times, and that was it. Nothing spectacular at all, and it wasn't even very advertised. I kind of right moment, right time saw it. And then I mentioned it to my grandparents because Mum was working late. Late, I'd go to my grandparents' house, usually in the afternoons. And then Nan started getting behind it a lot and helping me out, helping me out with training and everything like that, getting there and picking me up eventually.
What about when you went home and said, I want to have my first fight? Was that, because I think every other kid in the world, I think that's hard for everybody. Like me, I didn't start till later in my 20s. my mum still didn't want to really come and watch me then, you know.
No,
So
yeah. No, actually, it was a big push with my mum. She's so on
yeah,
board with it now, and she's super supportive. But
so
the whole
supportive.
beginning, she'd cringe watching it, but even to convince me to fight was a bit of a push. And then I remember going every single year. I was like, Mom, like I won't box again this year. Like it's not a career, it's just a hobby.
Yeah.
And she was worried about my getting hurt. And then she said, I kept going, well, I'm only fighting little girls. I'm not fighting monsters. It's not like this is going to be my career. I'm not going to be a professional or anything. And
here we are.
every year that kept happening, and now here I am, a professional boxer.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think any parent. I think every parents seem to fall in love with it because they know how much the kids love it, rather than they still don't really like the sport. You know what I mean? No one wants. Let's be honest. No one wants to watch their kids get punched in the face. No one needs to see that. So I think every parent shares that same aspect of, fuck this, I don't want to see my daughter get punched in the nose.
Yeah.
But then again, on the other hand, they love it that you're dedicating your life to it. You're staying fit and healthy and making good choices. And generally that's what they love about it, I think.
And the more she watches it, the more she realizes it's not as brutal as it's made out to be. Like, you get more injuries in football, like breaking bones. And she sees my lifestyle around it and actually enjoys that I'm living a healthier lifestyle from it. I'm not,
Yeah, nice. Well, you said you see how safe it is, and then your last fight you come out and swamp the old mate in about 50 seconds. But
yeah, well, the pro games.
It's okay when it doesn't happen to you. It's okay when it doesn't happen to you, but it's on the other foot.
We took the headgears off now, so smaller gloves.
Yeah, mate. What's the highlight of your amateur career?
I'd say the Commonwealth Games. It was cool representing Australia in a multi-sport contest and mingling with all the different other kind of athletes in the village. The whole experience was a lot of fun. And I think the way that's structured, where you have opening ceremony, closing ceremony, makes the whole event really memorable in my head. Whereas all the best boxing events, they were good, but they weren't as hyped up.
They're just not as big, are they? They're just not as big. Yeah, there's not as much hype.
Lead up into it. We did, I think, altogether it was like 20 weeks or something like that. Yeah. We did 2 10-week blocks.
Well, you might go to World Boxing Championships, and you think it's to boxers and everything, it's the biggest thing. It's actually the biggest event is the World Championships. Yeah. But there's like 35 people in the crowd, and that's about it. No one really cares.
And
when you come to Commonwealth Games,
you're in Russia, but no one else knows it's actually happening.
That's right. You come to the Commonwealth Games, and it's only the Commonwealth countries, and holy shit, you cannot do anything wrong because you're on the media. You do good things, you're in the media. You know what I mean? Everything is media. So that's I'm glad you went through that experience before you turned professional.
It was a good insight with the media as well, like how people can manipulate things. Like, I remember the Daily Mail.
Wasn't there a photo of you guys?
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Tell us about that.
I was like playing like this, and the Daily Mail had broadcasted it with some ridiculous caption like "sex parties, 226,000 condoms, partying behind prying eyes." It was just a photo of me on a hammock like this. I was like, yeah.
What about the other? What about the other 23? What about the other 23 hours of my day?
I was like, that's cool. Hopefully, I can win a gold medal, and I can say I did it whilst partying in the village.
Yeah, didn't have to train.
Yeah, I didn't train.
That's good, mate. So you spent probably a couple of years traveling around in the national team. Would it be a couple of years, you'd say?
3 years, I'd say.
3 years. So you pretty much lived out of a suitcase.
The last year I did, I was in a new country every single month. So that was my breaking, like when I pulled the straw on it at the end of last year.
Yeah. So what was so when you first got picked in the senior national team,
Yep.
Okay. The first country you went to, what was your first trip away with the senior national team?
Actually, I was a junior still, and
All right.
I was actually with the elite team. I think I was one of three juniors that went on the trip, and we went to the Philippines for a 2.5 week camp. And I was with Shelley Watts at the time, and
Oh, yeah.
Christy Harris, who was actually the current 51 kilo elite Australian champion.
Yeah.
And a couple of the other elite girls, and there were Danielle Lewis was there, and it was my first time in an elite environment.
Yeah.
And I remember I actually used Shelley as a big role model on that trip.
Yeah.
She was like sort of on an Olympic pathway to Rio, and Christy was on the same pathway, I think. So I was really following them girls, and it was my first time being exposed to training 3 times a day, 5 to 6 days a week, and all the military style training and the coaches and how strict it was, like lining up before training. It was a big shock. Yeah.
Mate, speaking about Shelley, we should have an interview with Shelley. She's got a good story as well. She's so one-track minded. Well, I know when she was boxing, she was so one-track minded, and I think once boxing was over, she got into a bit of a lost phase at the moment. But good on her now; she's doing excellent. Obviously, completed a law degree and had a baby, so she's doing excellent. But she was so one-track minded. She knew exactly what she wanted, didn't she? You know what I mean? Like, and when people talk about positive mentality, that's 100% how Shelley got there, I believe.
Yeah. And she was very driven. I remember that's what I focused on. I think we finished a training session and I was only a junior. I didn't have my basics and fundamentals down pat at that point. So I was still learning a lot. And I remember she pulled me aside after training one day and helped me for like a good 30 minutes. We just sat in the mirror. And she just went over all the basic fundamentals in the mirror with me for like 30 minutes. And that's when I was like really starting to idolize her. Like she was showing me all the basics, like dropping your hips into punches, turning your shoulders in and your knuckles in, not just throwing from your shoulders, and all those basic fundamentals was a big learning curve for me in boxing.
So, so important. The basics are the be-all and end-all of boxing, because at the end of the day, there's only straights, hooks, and uppercuts you can throw.
Yeah.
What experience does, it gives you, it teaches you when to throw the right thing. It makes your decision making a bit better, I believe. Obviously, there's footwork, there's different conditioning drills you can do to mix your training up, but basic fundamentals, like you said, you were working with Shelley there. There's no replacement for basics, good basics. Like you don't see Michael Jordan not practice how to shoot hoops, because he wouldn't be shooting hoops, would he?
No.
Yeah, excellent. So, mate, what has boxing taught you? Boxing as a sport, what has boxing taught you about life?
So many things. It's taught me to be disciplined. Resilience. So many how to live a healthy lifestyle. It's taught me honestly, like the fact that you have time and you have to show up to training on time, to be dedicated to something. So many good attributes about my personality, I think, come from boxing for such a long time, and being dedicated to one thing for such a long time, to try to succeed. It's also shown me that if you train really hard for something and want something really bad, that you can actually have it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's life lessons.
And sense of community. All the people I've been surrounded by and the support has taught me so many things. Lots of things.
Yeah.
Along those lines.
And I suppose boxing, look, it's anybody listening, it's not just boxing, it's general. It's if you dedicate yourself to any sort of craft, you've got to learn life lessons along the way. Like if you want to play football, like I say to a lot of kids, obviously every kid wants to be an NRL star that plays football, under 12s, under 14s. When I work with these kids, it's always like, guys, how'd you become great? Well, I don't know, I just train and stuff. Well, Well, you got to do more than everybody else. Otherwise, you're just going to be the same as everyone else.
Yeah.
You've got to work. It's no secret to success.
Yeah.
You've just got to fucking work harder than everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way it is. And eventually it'll come. And you know what? Sometimes you work harder and sometimes it still doesn't happen. That's unfortunate, but you had a crack anyway.
Yeah. I see that with a
So,
lot of
yeah.
boxers too. The ones that work really hard end up actually taking it in the end. Like, they may not be beating the really talented boxers for a while, but eventually they do overtake them.
Well, that's right. That's right. We've got another guy in our gym that's exactly the same as a junior. He was thereabouts. But then when you hit that senior, he still had a couple of years, and then boom, it just happened. Well, it doesn't just happen overnight. It happens through 10 years of hard work. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
But again, this is what I think. Well, you'd rather people talk about how good you were as an adult than how good you were as a kid.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. What you had as a kid with Ty, and him putting that real good fun aspect into training, and we're going camping for the weekend. Oh, we might get a fight as well. Well, that's cool. That's the way it should be looked at, because it's a childhood, you know. And eventually, as you mature, you'll make that right decision for yourself. Is this way to go for me, or is it not? You know. So excellent.
Yeah.
So what do you do? What else do you love outside of boxing? I know. Forget sport. What else do you do?
I'm a pretty social person, so I have a good friendship circle, and I love hanging out with them. We're pretty, like, not pre-COVID. We would always always be finding things to do. Like, I have some housemates who I lived with. We'd literally go down to New Farm Park and climb trees, like just getting out of the house, just doing stupid things.
There's a Tomboy
like,
coming back in you.
We'll go cafe hunting. We'll have brunches. We go to the movies. Like, if it's out of season, we'll go out. We'll head to bars. Like, I don't know. I'm very social, so we try to keep my friendship circle.
Yeah, nice. So last year, was it last year you went to Europe? At the end of last year, you had the holiday? Over Christmas, wasn't it?
What's that, sorry?
It was like over Christmas sort of period, wasn't it? Or just before?
I went for my first white Christmas.
Yeah, nice. Did you see white Christmas?
I had boxing in my whole career, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was awesome. I put on a lot of weight, but it was really good. I had a whole month of just, for the first time, traveling for a holiday. Because every other country I've been to has been for a training camp or a competition. So we're just in, out, training 3 times a day. You're cutting weight. You're in competition. So it was really nice to kind of be able to wake up in the morning, and it's just like the simple things in life, like go get a croissant and have a coffee.
And taking the surroundings rather than inside of a fucking gym.
and just say, and look at my friend and be like, oh, like, let's go see the Eiffel Tower. Like, let's do this. Yeah. And it be our own choice to go and do things, not like have the whole team there. Okay, set bus time is this. Everyone do this. It was kind of nice to relax a little.
You're still there?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's just gone really quiet, that's all.
Oh, is it all good
now? Yeah, sort of. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Hang on, mate. Yep. All right, got you. Okay. Yeah, so, mate, you got it in at the right time, didn't you, that trip?
Yeah. I got in that trip right before, I guess, COVID, and right before I kicked off my professional career. So that was good to get it, and then, like, let it all out.
Yeah, and then and then you had your first professional fight coming up in February, so pretty much off the plane you were into it.
Yep, as soon as I got off the plane, Shara messaged me to come down to the Gold Coast and do our first pad session, and I threw 4 punches and felt like my heart rate was through the roof. It was the most unfit I think I'd ever been.
Oh, was that your first training session? Is that when Jack was sparring Rowan down there that day?
That was my first session.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
4 croissants.
Yeah. Shara straight away was like, hey, big girl.
As she does. She doesn't hold much back, does she, mate?
No, I love it though.
No. So, mate, tell us about your first professional experience. Oh, no, let me go back a little bit further. When did you decide, you know what, I'm done with the amateurs? Because you weren't guaranteed, because nobody's guaranteed a spot at the Olympic Games.
No.
But I would like to think you would probably 90%, probably the favourite.
Yeah.
Let's say the favourite to represent Australia at the Olympic Games. Look, hasn't even happened yet, but anyway. When was the decision time? When did you go? Were you sat on the plane one day and you went, "Fuck this! This is not me anymore"? Or can you remember that when it just twigged in your head and you went, "Nah, this ain't for me"?
I was on my way home from Russia, from the World Championships, and we'd done a 3-week or 2-week or 3-week camp in Berlin, and then we backed on to Russia. Russia dragged on for so long, and we're living in our suitcases again. I was exhausted because the whole year I hadn't been home. I missed out on so many family events. I missed out on my sister's hen's night, mum's birthdays, family events, pretty much everything that year I'd missed out on from being overseas training. And the whole dynamics of the boxing, like amateur boxing scene, it just started feeling really pointless to me. I kept thinking, I'm going to keep climbing. Okay, I make the Olympics, then what? And it's like, then what? Then another 4 years. And I was also getting over the cutting of the weight to 51 kilos. When you're fighting 5 to 6 times in a week, it's really taking a toll on my body. And as soon as I got home from Russia, we had nationals within a month. So I had to go straight into camp again. And when I was sitting there in camp, before I had to go back into camp, I thought, I don't want to do this. Like, I'm hating it. I'm not enjoying the sport anymore. I was going to quit boxing, and started thinking of alternatives that would stop me from quitting something I've dedicated my whole life to. And that was to be to turn professional.
Yeah, nice. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, thank fuck for that. Okay, so it's a big decision, and I suppose you were sick of the traveling, the touring, the everything, because you've done it. Look, to a lot of kids, it's that sounds like the most exciting life ever, traveling and fighting and doing this, doing that. Yeah, it is great, but there comes a time that you're over it. Like you said, you can't even get a job. You can't even earn any money.
No. We couldn't get work. I would be home I actually got I got scholarships into the Sydney Uni. I got internships into really good jobs, and I couldn't start any of them because every time I'd get my foot in the door, I was packing my suitcase to go overseas again. And it was sort of like, if you didn't go on these trips as an amateur, you were not going to be as good as you should be, or you weren't getting the experience you needed to succeed. On the amateur scene, you do need to commit pretty much your whole life to making things like the Olympics or the Felix Dam, for instance, in Poland, or every tournament was like the next big thing, but it was every 2 to 3 weeks. So
yeah,
I didn't have time for anything else in my life. I was making no friends outside of the female boxing team. I was literally just surrounded by the same people doing the same thing. And it's great to say, because when I first, my first boxing trip, it was so much fun. I was like, I could do this forever. And then last year, it's just wasn't the same.
Yeah, just come to an end. But But I bet on the other hand that you're probably glad you went through that phase. It's probably taught you so many lessons now. Like, you've matured so much, and now you're a go-getter. You go and get stuff done. If you're looking for sponsors, you go out and chase those things. You know, you do things yourself now. Yeah. I suppose it's made you become a bit more independent, I suppose, by being by yourself overseas and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Definitely more
so the Olympic Games obviously is not happening this year, obviously. So it's probably a masterstroke that you chose to do what you did anyway. It'll happen next.
I'm so more happy about a decision ever.
Yeah. So you'd never look back? You'd never look back? You're glad you made the decision?
I was really worried making the decision that I'd get massive FOMO, I guess, or when the Olympic Games were to happen, that I'd feel like I was missing out.
Yeah.
But now, as soon as I started preparing for my professional fight, it all went out the window because it was so exciting. I'd never had so much passion. I'd had more passion than I'd ever had for the sport in a long time. And every session I went to was exciting. Shara killed the whole training camp. Like, she designed it. It was so nice having a camp designed around one fight, around you preparing and peaking at the right time, not just kicking over. And and then once I had my professional fight, I thought this is the best. Like, I just want to go jump in again. And I never felt like that in the active. I was sort of like, fuck, I gotta fight again tomorrow. Like,
true. Yeah, what a drain this becomes. Yeah, but I think I suppose, look, I suppose young people have got to go through that phase to pop out the other end, and then go through that. Oh shit, I've got to back up, make weight 2 and 3 times in a row. That is a nightmare. So we've got a little bit of a fan there putting a message up. Can you read that? Can you see that?
Yeah.
Guys, if anybody's got any questions, for Taylah, send them in. We'll ask. Guys, Tay, I'll ask a couple of questions that somebody asked me. I suppose one question that got thrown to me was, have you regretted missing out on the Olympic Games? Well, you've just answered that straight away.
No. Especially now with COVID, if anything, I feel like everything happens for a reason. And I'm so lucky I went pro, and I'm not still sitting around hanging for when maybe a possible Olympics could have been.
Yeah.
So I feel like my lucky stars were in line when I turned pro.
Made the decision, yeah. Mate, we booked in another event for November the 7th, so look, all being well, that one can go ahead, but if we can get so that'll be at the same place. We've already booked the venue and everything like that at the Sleeman Centre, so that'll be good again. Mate, look, it'd be great if you got out again prior to that, though. We just don't know what's going on, though, at the moment.
Yeah, I'd love to have another fight this year. Like, I was hoping to have 4 or 5 fights this year, but as Mike Altamira said the other day on the interview, he said, mate, this might be the first time ever where debutant fighters only have 1 or 2 fights in their first year, which is crazy. Yeah. So it's madness. Mate, somebody just thrown a question there. Do you have any goals outside of boxing? Is there any personal goals you have outside? Yeah, I do. I want to bridge into film. So that's, I guess I didn't mention it earlier, but that's a hobby I also would like to venture in. Filmmaking or post-production. I guess I want to... On
the other side of the camera, not as an actress. Yeah, right.
No, I want to be behind the camera. So I get that's
nice.
I have outside of boxing. And I guess when my career, all athletes' careers come to an end, I'd like to be building on that as well while I'm still fighting and bridge on that.
Yeah, nice. Wow, that'll be good. So if anyone out there wants to help out Taylah, you'll be all good for some work experience and everything. You're just keen to learn, eh? That's excellent. Anything else outside of boxing? Any big dreams for 30 years' time?
Make a lot of money.
Somehow make some money.
Yeah.
Mate, when you were at the Commonwealth Games, you boxed against, is it Jenna Whitehead? Is it?
No, Lisa.
What's it?
Whiteside.
Lisa.
Whiteside.
I just made that name up, obviously. So Whiteside, is it?
Yep.
She's also signed with MTK Global, as you are. Obviously, she's a British girl. Yep. Had you sparred with her or competed against her prior to the games?
No, she was the only girl who didn't come to the pre-nation camp. So I'd sparred Ireland, India, like all the other countries that were at the pre-nation camp, and England was the only one that didn't come. So I kind of, we did know she was seeded number 1 coming into it though, and she was very experienced. So we knew she was going to be the toughest one, and I drew her first. So,
mate, I remember watching that fight, and I honestly thought you won that fight. And I try to take off my bias hat, you know what I mean? Because you always look at your way. But I honestly, that was a fight that I couldn't really see. And some of the other Australians I thought were quite lucky on the other way in a few fights. But I thought
Yeah.
I thought yours was a tough one. I thought you won that fight. Anyway, who knows? It might
Yeah.
happen down the track, hey? Who knows?
Yeah, now that we're in the professionals, we could meet
Yeah.
again. I
Yeah.
love that,
And she
actually.
and she
She's a
and
nice
she's
girl.
she
We actually got along. We were in the hairdressing salon the morning of our fight at the exact same time. And
G'day,
we're in
mate.
the
There you
chairs
go.
next to each other. Yeah. And I didn't know what to say. It was kind of awkward. So I broke
Yeah.
the ice and was like, "Oh, what corner are you in tonight?" Like, and then she was like, "Oh, I'm in the blue corner." And I was like, "Oh, cool. I'll get my red gear out then." And we're having like some jokes. So she was really nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's all the best to her in the professional career as well. And who knows, down the track it might be something. But in the meantime, I suppose you support each other, and that's what sport's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mate, tell me about sparring partners in Australia. And what I want to touch on is, have you sparred any current professional boxers when you were actually an amateur, or now you're a professional? Have you done much sparring with professional fighters or people that are professionals now?
I guess I sparred with Lauren Eagle just
Oh, you
after
did
my
have
last fight.
you did.
We flew
That
down
was
to
really good,
Sydney,
yeah.
literally like 2 days after my fight, we flew down and
That's right.
did, some rounds of sparring for her fight with Shannon O'Connell. But obviously that's been cancelled.
Which obviously didn't happen. I wonder if that'll happen this year. Anyway.
Yeah, that'll be a good fight. I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
And I also sparred Shannon at the start of my last fight prep. Corey. I sparred Corey.
Yeah, Corey Farr, yep.
Yep, she's gone.
Have you fought any of the girls that are currently professionals when you were an amateur, obviously?
Viviana Roos. She's turned pro now.
She has?
We fought 4 or 5 times, I think.
Is she the one that you beat for the Commonwealth Games?
Yeah.
Final? Where were we?
Yeah,
Sydney,
That
was Sydney.
The Commonwealth Games final. I beat her for the World Championships this year. Last year, sorry. I beat her at Golden Gloves. I've won 4 of the 5. So.
Yeah. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Any others?
Yeah.
Is it? Ebony Bridges, have you fought her? Or sparred her? No, you haven't?
No, I actually haven't. It could be a good spar.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Mate, there's another question just popped up here. How important is cardio for being a professional boxer? Obviously, you've got to be fit. Or is visualization more important? I'll let you answer that.
I'd say cardio is definitely important. I'd say they're both fairly important. You need both of them. You need to be able to visualize yourself being a champion, to be a champion. And you can't have that without actually being fit. And I guess that's where the cardio comes in. So
yeah, nice.
I'd say both are pretty equally
What do you like with your general running? Are you good enough? If you've got, say, if Shara's said to you, say, right, you've got 3 runs this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the other 2 days I'll meet you at the track session. Are you pretty motivated to get up and do that boring stuff?
Yeah, I won't. If Shara's set me something, and if for some reason it doesn't happen, it'll be in my head all day that I didn't do that. I feel like I let myself down.
Get guilty.
There's no way. No, 100%. I'm very motivated to do that myself.
I like the visualization question. I think, mate, if you can't see it, it ain't going to happen.
No.
That's anything in life.
When I run is when I visualize the most. Obviously, when I'm doing boxing training, I'm focusing on the task and skills set. But when I'm running and putting my headphones in, that's when I'm doing my most visualization. I always picture certain goals I have, whether it be my pro fight, whether it was making the Olympics, and I'd always visualize them when I was running, and it would kind of distract me if I'm doing long kilometers and stuff.
Yeah, nice. Mate, I want to take you back to that little girl that first walked in the gym. You seeing that little girl right now, okay? So if you had advice for her, that somebody just loved it as a little girl, what advice would you have for her in that first stage of that enjoyable stage of the career? Or would you just say enjoy it?
Yeah, enjoy the journey. That's what I'd tell her. Enjoy the journey. Enjoy it all and take it all in. It's going to be a big roller coaster ride.
Because at that age, the 10, 11, 12, even 13, 14, look, if you stay fit anyway at school just by running around and just being a kid, you know what I mean? You're generally an active kid. So I don't think those kids at 10, 11 years old needs to be doing long road work and all that sort of stuff and damaging their body for when they get older. It's just they play tiggy. They probably run 3Ks playing tiggy at school at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think. But what about the 16-year-old you? Would you do things different? Is that when it started becoming a bit more serious?
Stay focused. Because that's when all the
were you going here and there a bit? Yeah.
Yeah, all the temptations were coming in high school, and all the high school parties started happening. I'd tell myself to stay focused which I did stay focused, but there was some periods in school where I would not have the commitment that I needed for certain fights. So I tell myself just to stay focused on the goal.
I think you probably do need downtime though, where in boxing we don't get a lot, because especially amateur boxing, sometimes we're fighting in February all the way through to November. Oh shit! And then there's a trial you have to do in December. You never really have that rest as well either, do you? So that's what I tell some athletes. You know, if you need a break, if you know you're done, take a little bit of time and then you come back hungry.
Yeah, definitely come back more hungry when you've had a break. I was so hungry after that Europe break.
And like you said, that was the first break you've had for a long time, really.
How many hours do you I actually train when I'm in camp. We usually start with, it's different in the professionals. It used to be in the amateurs, running in the morning would be 25 minutes or so, and then 11 o'clock was strength. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday was like circuit style strength, and then Tuesday, Thursday was like heavier lifting. So we're doing strength 5 times a week, and then boxing was 4 p.m. every day, and that would go for about an hour. So probably 2.5 hours a day, or 2 to 3 hours a day, 5 to 6 days a week. Yeah.
But I think, even though that question, I like that question, because a lot of people think you can just, I just need to train for 2 hours or 3 hours. You know, too many people do like 2-hour training sessions, like one training session for 2 hours, which to be honest, me as a coach, I think that's ridiculous. Like, why you're boxing for 6, 9, 10, 12 minutes, even up 4-round professionals.
Yeah.
All it's going to do is tire your body, and you're not going to perform really good. I think you need to probably train a bit more specific, don't we?
Yeah. Well, working
what else
with
have we?
And you guys have been really perfect for that. Everything is just so specific to what we're trying to achieve. So
that's right. You've got one goal, tick the box, move on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, another question here. What have we got there? Important for how many hours? Biggest influence. Who do you model your style after? Anybody, or do you just do your own thing?
I really like. Okay, so in the amateurs, I really liked a Brazilian 60-kilo boxer. She just won the world championships, and she got best boxer of the tournament. Beatrice. She's one of my favorite amateur style boxers, but in the professional.
So you've admired her for a while?
In the amateurs, I used to always watch her every international event. I was like, oh shit, she's fighting again. I'd record it, try to learn from it. She was so comfortable in the ring. Her hands, everything was just whippy, explosive. Just kind of.
Is there things you do that you try? Is there things that you watch and you go, I want to be like that. I want to look like that. Did you?
Her and go, shit, I need to like feel relaxed, feel her legs were springy. She was always moving and light around the ring. But in the pro, I've been watching Gervonta Davis a lot. I really like how explosive he is. And as well how he feels so relaxed and comfortable in the ring.
Yeah. How was your head before when you turned up to the venue on your first professional fight? What was your headspace like? Yeah, I know you were.
Confident. I was so confident in my preparation, and I knew I'd done more than enough, and I knew that I had this, but I was still just nervous because the crowd, the hype,
Well,
if
it's about
there's
you, isn't
small
it?
chance
Yeah.
something could happen, it's boxing and anything can happen. She can land one
Yeah.
punch and that's it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a big, yeah. The nerves were very real.
Yeah, right. Vincent's asked, what before COVID-19, what were your goals for 2020? Well, I suppose it was just to have 4 or 5 fights, wasn't it? Yeah.
4 to 5 fights. I wanted to win them all. I wanted to start building more of a name for myself in the boxing. I wanted to really start making a stamp on the female boxing scene in Australia. And yeah, I really wanted to start climbing towards in the long goal, the world title. So start getting my record together. Yeah.
That'll happen. You still just keep believing that'll happen. You know it will.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've visualized that many times. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just on hold a little bit at the moment, but you've still been quite active. I see what you're in. How was lockdown? Because you were in proper isolation, weren't you, for 2 weeks?
Yeah.
So what happened there? How come you were in? Oh, you went. That's right. You went to America. Tell us about your lockdown and how you got through. It would have been a bit of a head fuck.
Yeah. Well, I went out to my dad's farm and I set up a farm gym using all the cattle stuff
Whatever you
and
could.
tires and proper Rocky material. Like everyone was vibing that Rocky style training. And yeah, the only way I got through quarantine was by like training twice a day. I was like running because he had property. I could run along the farms, doing hill sprints.
So were you by yourself? Could you be with your dad, or you had to be by yourself?
No, he has a granny flat that I stayed in, so on the property. So I stayed in that. Yeah, it was pretty good. We had quad bikes, so I was riding quad bikes around. It was
right.
I think people have had much worse quarantines than I had, so
I
was pretty lucky.
It's probably a bit better than sitting in a hotel room like a lot of people are doing.
Yeah. Well, when I was in America, Dad messaged me and said, "You have to quarantine." I didn't hear the news. I thought that was a joke. So I was like, "You joking?"
Yeah.
He's like, "No, you're not allowed out. You have to quarantine." I was like, "I'll come to the farm then."
Yeah. Mate, somebody else has just asked, what's your favourite conditioning, what is it? What's your favourite conditioning tool besides running? Well, I want you to answer this, but while it's on my lips, I just want to say, so many people in boxing just still think old school, like you have to just run and you have to punch the bag for 30 rounds and you have to spar and you have to do 500 abs. The world is different now. We are smarter than that. And if you don't think you're smarter than that, if you don't accept the fact that things have changed slightly, you're going to be stuck where we were years ago. You look at Manny Pacquiao, generally, yes, you do long runs. You need to do your long runs on your professional fighter, but you also need to do track running. You need to do interval training. You need to do strength and conditioning, and you need to mix your training up so your head doesn't get flat.
Yeah.
Back in the day, Muhammad Ali, they used to have 50, 60, 70 fights. Prior to that, they used to have hundreds of fights. Now we're having maximum probably 4 fights a year.
Yeah. My favorite conditioning tool, I don't know, I don't know if you mean favorite as in hardest or favorite as in ones I like, because I don't like a lot of the conditioning tools, but I have to do them. But the row is hard. The rowing machine's really hard. And also some of the circuits we do in the gym. With the sled pulls and
that's tough.
I feel like they're really effective on my fitness and conditioning when I'm in the ring. Do I enjoy them? They're hard, but they're good. Yeah.
You're happy once it's all over.
Yeah, you feel good after them.
Yeah.
During them.
Yeah, nice.
Dying. But no,
yeah, cool.
I like incorporating sort of resistance into like high intensity. I always feel really good at the end of those.
So you do your strength and conditioning. Who's your strength and conditioning trainer?
Well, my last camp, it was Darren Tuck, and it was great. We did he really put my like strength and conditioning specifically for boxing. So he's working on explosive movements and sort of like the way you punch. He'd like use the same movements as a punch when we were lifting and stuff. So and he'd do things like do a heavy lift into an explosive movement into fast twitch. Like, he was really specific, and I really felt good in my fight because of that.
Yeah, nice. Mate, somebody's put a question there. Are you a fan of professional boxer Georgie Kambosos? Have you watched much as George as a professional?
I've watched maybe one of his fights. I haven't watched too much, so I can't have too much of an opinion. But he seems to be paving a good road for the Australian boxing. It seems like he's killing it. So, but I haven't watched too much of him.
George, mate, he's doing really well. He's got a big fight coming up with Lee Selby, who's the former, I think he was IBF world champion. Good fight for George. Probably one that Lee Selby has to win because he's had a loss, or maybe he's had a couple of losses now. Probably one Lee Selby has to win, but it's a real opportunity for George to really crack that top level and open up. And every time, this is what I don't get about Australian boxing public sometimes. There's not many people patting each other on the back. You know what I mean? Everyone wants to bring each other down. Like, and I hate that. Like, if an poppy
seed syndrome.
Exactly.
They're good.
If an Aussie does well, we should be patting them on the back because it opens the doors for everybody else. Like when Jeff won Manny Pacquiao, when Jeff beat Manny Pacquiao, look, most people did jump on board, but the doors just opened.
A lot of people feel like, oh, he's good, but like he's not that good. Like,
yeah,
like it's like, why in America they hype everyone up? You could say you've had one amateur fight and you'd walk into a room and they're like, you're the champ. Like,
yeah, that's right, yeah.
They just hype you up completely over there. And then over here we have this really negative mindset towards a lot of, especially in boxing, I think.
Especially in boxing.
Got to criticize someone. They'll say something nice, but then they have to backhand compliment it with something not so nice. It's like, they're being too nice.
100%. Like when Anthony Mundine was making waves from, obviously you were a bit young to see, but he come through rugby league. He was a really great rugby league player. Then he went on to, obviously, turn boxing. I think he was 25 or 26 years old. Everyone was saying he's never going to do anything. He was saying, I want to be the world champion. No one believed him, and he just kept backing himself. And it's still to this day, people find it hard to actually pat him on the back and say, you've done good, mate. You know, like you've done pretty good, mate. Yeah, fair enough. He's a bit past it now, and he's not as strong and athletic as he was previously. But back in the day, he fought some of the world's best fighters, and win or loss, he always give a good credit for himself. You know, after 10 professional fights and only 4 amateur fights, he fought Sven Otke, who was an undefeated professional boxer, multiple-time world champion, and he was winning the fight until he got stopped. Who does that? Not many people do that from one sport, switch over to another, and go amazing in it. So and
he had the hype. He could sell tickets. So
that's right. Yeah, people wanted to see him. And to be honest, people in Australia. Everybody keeps feeding the hate for Anthony Mundine. Meanwhile, he's sitting back on a big paycheck. It's probably pretty happy with how his life's going at the moment. Somebody here has just said your favourite city in America and your favourite city elsewhere in the world that you've been to.
In America, I loved LA. A lot of people have their own opinions on LA, but I mean, I had a great experience there recently. I don't know. I haven't done too much I haven't done too much America. I've only done Colorado Springs, Texas, LA, and that's it. So I can't really say I've tried all the cities, but out of Colorado and LA, I've really liked LA. And
so what's the most beautiful country you've been to, or the one that that just went? Take boxing out of it. Some city you've just gone, wow, yeah, this is cool.
Spain. Definitely Spain. Barcelona was awesome. And another city that shocked me was I've been there, I think I've fought there four times now, is Poland. Every time I go there, I love it. Yeah.
Really?
It's not like on most people's bucket list, but like if I hadn't gone there boxing, I would never have chose to go to Poland. But every time I go there, the whole everything about it is great. And I've been to a few places. I've been to like Krakow, Warsaw, all around. And every time I travel to a new spot there, I love it.
So what is it about Poland? Is it like got character? Is it like a bit old-fashioned, or is it new? Or
not that I could go to the bars because I was always competing, but when you'd walk down the
Yeah.
streets, there's little DJs in the middle of the beer garden. You'd walk down.
like
and,
trendy, cool things? Yeah.
Cute boutique cafes. The shopping centers were wild. The cute little architecture of all the towns and different colored buildings, all the cathedrals, everything about it was just a really good atmosphere. And yeah, every time I've been, I've just had a really good time.
Yeah,
Walking
wow,
through the
that's excellent.
streets, little courtyards everywhere. It was really great. Yeah.
Oh, that's good, mate. Mate, I've just got up some questions here. I'm gonna chuck 5 questions at you to wrap this up. As long as we don't run out of time, let's see. All right. Okay. Well, these are athletes. I should have got the stupid questions. Okay, here we go. How hard are you prepared to work to achieve your sporting goal?
As hard as I can.
Are you somebody that won't just say it? You will absolutely give everything to make it happen?
Yeah. Put every ounce of power I have to make my goals come true.
Okay, cool. All right. Think of you answering this to a kid at school. How can school help my sport in the future? In other words, you're telling a kid, I want you to listen at school for this reason, and then they get it.
Because education's power. Education is absolute power in every way of life. Like, the more you know about things, the more powerful you are. Like, the more you know about anything. It could be about cars, for instance. You're not having a trouble on the road when you break down. It's not an issue. Like, knowledge is power. So that's where school, I think.
Wow, you sounded really intelligent then.
Yeah. I'm really not, but I'm glad I sounded like it.
Shh, don't say that. It sounded good. Mate, how can I make the most out of every training session? I think this is it's a short question. How can I make the most out of every training session? I suppose let's go into mindset. What are you thinking? You know, what would you advise a young person how to be prepared before they go into a training session?
Make sure, someone told me once, when you go in, think about what you're trying. It depends on what the session is, but what are you trying to improve in that session? And think of it at the start and throughout the whole session. Make sure you're improving that. So if you set a focus in each session, you'll get the most out of it.
Yeah, nice. As long as you get
to be, if it's a strength session, it could be to like do a heavy lift. If it's a boxing session, it'd be to get my jab stronger or to get my jab longer or to work on counterattacks. If you set like what you want to improve each session, you know, you're always constantly improving.
So at the end of the day, you can tick that box and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, that's nice. How do you behave when you're under pressure? Or your feelings, everything about pressure. How do you deal with it?
Sometimes
we've got 30 seconds left.
Sometimes I stress under pressure. I think that, or I'll just wing it. Like if I'm in a pressure situation, I don't know if it's in a fight, but I'll just wing it.
Just wing it, get through it, step by step. Guys, we've got 10 seconds left. Taylah, thanks so much. It's been a good hour chat with you. I'll also chuck this up on YouTube for people to see. Good to see you, mate, and hopefully soon